1984 was it was nominated for Oscar in Best Foreign Language Film category in 1984. And at IFFI 2015, his film Kapo in Jerusalem is being screened at the international competition category. And we have with us Mr. Angga Dwimas Sasongko, a young director from Indonesia, and he had made his first film, debut film, Photo Kodak dan Jendela in 2006, and he has created hundreds of music videos, dozens of TV commercials, and 5 feature films. He is here with his film Filosofi, Kopi, which is again shown in the international competition section. I welcome both of you, sir, to this interaction, and I would request Mr. Barbash to have your opening remarks, to share your thoughts on the movie.
First of all, thank you. It's my first day in India. I landed yesterday, and my first day in Goa. So I don't think about films. I'm so shocked and so excited and so enthusiastic that I don't care about films now. I would like just to go around and see and eat and watch and encounter, you know. If you give me some recommendations, please. Anyway, thank you for having me here. You know, for us, I'm Jewish, and we Jewish people, we don't take life for granted. We take nothing for granted. Every day that I'm awake, it's a miracle. So being here for me, it's a beautiful gift, and thank you for that. My film tries to deal with the Holocaust. It deals with moral dilemmas in one of the blocks of Auschwitz, the extermination camp, without actually being there. I would like just 3 minutes of your time, because I prepared what I would like to say. It's much easier for me, since English is not my mother tongue. Writing poetry after Auschwitz is a barbaric act. Making films after Auschwitz, on Auschwitz, is also a barbaric act. Those are the words of the Jewish German philosopher Theodor Adorno. The attempt to reconstruct the horrid existential crisis of the Holocaust through cinema is always confronted by great difficulties. The act of art stands helpless in the face of such an atrocious period, such awful period. Kapo in Jerusalem is an attempt to find a different poetics, minimalist, modest, unpretentious way to tell the story of Sarah and Bruno, two survivors of Auschwitz, who are fighting for their lives, for their reputation, and for their love. If we follow Adorno's perspective that after Auschwitz you cannot write poetry, means you cannot do art about the Holocaust, if you follow this perspective, it does testify a desperate need to seek another poetics that will express the inexpressible through its absence. I will say, how can you dance without movement? How can you scream in silence? That's what we were looking. We realized that we could not use a conventional plot structure. We decided to create syntax that does not propose a journey in space, mise en scène is space, but rather creates a journey through time, a journey through the memory, which is slowly eroding, gradually being refuted, and unfortunately even denied. Therefore, the film, Kapo in Jerusalem, is built as a multi-vocal concerto of personal monologues, contradicting each other, accusing and containing. The poetics of Kapo in Jerusalem aims to expose the inner world of the characters, their tormented memories, their loud silences, and not, and I must insist, not reconstruct the realistic physical landscape of the extermination camp. This multi-layered vocal structure allows us to discover a deep and broad perspective without reconstructing realistic mise-en-scène. The monologues are not just a rich and dramatic means of expression, they also have an ethical and conceptual significance. By that I mean, through the monologue, we view reality only through the eyes of the human being whom is crushed and destroyed by that very reality. The monologue raises subjectivism into a spiritual and moral level. Thank you.
Yeah, now I would thank you, Mr. Yuri. Now I would request Mr. Sasongko to have his opening remarks, please.
First of all, thank you for having me here. This is my first time in India also, and I'm glad to show my fourth feature film here to the Goa audience. I think this, if you read the title of Philosophy Kopi, you will curious what is that mean, because we're not translated into English, because Philosophy Kopi means the name of the coffee shop in that film. It's a story about two best friends own the coffee shop and struggle to keep the coffee shop alive. And through coffee, they embark to the journey of their troubled past with their parents. Coffee is something for people outside the outside the area where they don't produce coffee. Maybe for them, coffee is a sexy thing, or it's a hipster thing, because now coffee culture is quite hype in all over the world. But for us in Indonesia, coffee is like a lost treasure, because as a third coffee producer, our people mostly drink instant coffee, not the real coffee. And then because I'm also very passionate about coffee. 2 years ago, I think I have to start thinking how to tell coffee to our people more with passion and more with another perspective. And then I found this short story by Dewi Lestari, which is one of the famous writer in Indonesia, and we developed this story into the story about the Indonesian coffee itself. And we not expect that this film will take this quite far journey, because we before India we went to Korea, Japan, Taiwan, China, and London, and now in Goa and Amsterdam in the same period. And we thought that this film it's only for telling story about Indonesian coffee to Indonesian people, but now we're having a lot of universal experience telling our culture to overseas audience. And now I'm very glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sasongko. Now the floor is open for questions. Please use mic for you ask questions. Mr. Uri, excuse me, yeah, please.
I want to ask Sasongko, what was the most tough aspect of making your film? Whether getting money to make, or the concept, or getting the actors, which was tough?
Uh, back back then in Indonesia, I am actually a commercial film director, so I produce movie for commercial release and for theatrical release and for wide audience. Uh, yeah, I produced this movie because I'm also the producer. I produced this movie with that aim. Uh, uh, that's why I'm quite surprised with uh, a lot of attention from international society that this my film can selected into some international competition in some festival, and now I'm glad I'm having the chance to take a part in international competition in IFFI.
Uh, did you succeed in releasing the film in Indonesia?
Yes, the movie was the top 10 blockbuster in Indonesia. Number 4, I think, today, until today.
And in how many days you made the movie, and at what cost?
Uh, the shooting was only 14 days, and the cost, because it's small budget, it's only 300,000 US dollar.
What is your next film?
I just finished my film, Letters from Prague. I shoot it in Prague, Czech Republic. Story about political exile from Indonesian Revolution era in 1965. The leftist student that run from the country and live in the eastern part of Europe that time and live for uh, 60 years and as a exile and stateless. The story about that, and we will release the movie in January next year.
This one is for Mr. Yuri. What was the idea behind you asking your brother to write the screenplay? As a director, you didn't think that you should write the screenplay, it will be easy for you to execute?
I never felt that directing it's not enough. I feel that it's a full-time job. And I never wrote a script. I always was a co-writer. Part of writing the script, but I believe very much, for me, filmmaking, it's a social adventure of people in front of the camera, behind of the camera, I mean producer, scriptwriter, cameraman and director behind, and actors in front of the camera. What I found in filmmaking, it's really the social dynamics. That's really what so much enriching me, rather than being close in my room. That's why I need so much help from people, from a writer, from a producer, from a photographer, not to speak about from an actor. It's essential for me. Alone, I cannot do anything, honestly.
And in how many days you shot your film, and at what budget?
Kapo in Jerusalem? You won't believe me. 14 days. And the budget was the same budget of his. $300,000, which is very small budget for us anyway.
Yeah.
Amazing. I heard it. I thought you were speaking about my schedule.
But you were as lucky as him in releasing the film and making money?
You speak it to me?
Yeah.
My film will never make money. My film, it's not the heat of the summer. I can assure you for that. We never had a dream before making such a film that it will be a success. First of all, because it deals with one of the subject periods, the Shoah. When I say Shoah, it's, you know the word Shoah? Shoah, it's Holocaust. You know Holocaust?
Yes.
The Holocaust, where 6 million of my people were exterminated by the Nazis. And for us, it didn't happen 70 years ago. It happens every day today. For me, the Holocaust, it's part of my DNA, of my spiritual DNA. As a matter of fact, I cannot do other films, rather than to speak for those people. I do, because I have to make living. But this is my essence, this is my identity. And you don't make such a film because of the subject and because of the poetics, which is very challenging, in order to make money or in order to success. I hope people will go and try to make the effort to watch it. It's not an easy film. I cannot speak about success like him in such a film, not at all.
But Barbash, taking on from what you said, of course, all of us would agree that Auschwitz and the entire Holocaust is a blot on the history of humanity. But has the present Israeli generation, the younger generation Israel, have they outlived the memories of Auschwitz? And you said it's in your DNA, so you experience it every day. But how about the present generation? Are they still living with the memories of Auschwitz?
To many extent, yes. I mean, the Holocaust for us, it's not a story, it's not a piece of history. It's part of our life, of our daily life. Almost every second or third youngster in high school, they have, when they arrive the age of 16, 17, they had a tour to Poland, to the concentration camps, with telling all the stories all around. It didn't happen. It is part of our DNA as a society, not only of me personally as a human being. I did 2 documentaries about young poets, Israeli poets, about young poetry, because I found poems or poets, young poets are really the most anarchist, most interesting people in order to try and to explore a society, because they are very, very, very sensitive. And I had 12 young poets, female and male, in this big, it was 3 hours documentary, and almost every one of them wrote about the Holocaust as well. By that I mean, it's part of our life. Unfortunately, sometimes you make manipulation out of it. But in every subject you make manipulation. But the essence of it, the essence of this memory, for us, it's essential.
Thank you. Thank you. And I have a question to Sasongko. And I've read somewhere that your movie, Philosophy Kopi, is the first user-generated movie in Indonesia. What does that mean?
Yeah, let me tell the story from the background, because we have like 250 million population, but the screen screen number in my country is very small.
Mm-hmm.
It's only 1,000, and there is no art house cinema in my country. So all is the regular theater, and then 150 film produced per year. So it's quite tough for the number of the screen. So the idea was to engage with the audience since the beginning. So because of we take the story from the quite famous short story. So we thought that we have already the captive market. So we want to use it as one of the marketing tools. So we created an app application that people can download the app and involve to the production of the film. Like we put all the visual concept into option, and ask the audience to choose what kind of artistic concept that they want, like the concept of the wardrobe of the characters, and then this the interior set of the coffee shop, and all the props, costume, artistic. We ask them to choose whatever they want based on our options, and that's quite help us to having like a marketing troops, you know, because we engage with them since the beginning, and in return we got a lot of thousands of people that have sense of belonging to this movie as their own production.
Uh, it is heartening to note that you have used the idea of crowdsourcing
Yeah.
of ideas for making of the films. But don't you think that this film, you know, it's your creative vision, and it's director's own art, as you often say. And at any part in any you know, do you think that this idea is taken from the people? Did they did they were they against your vision of the cinema?
Uh, we just only give the opportunity to choose the artistic side, and with the option, and the option is made by me.
Okay.
Okay, so mostly three options, and I already designed that every option that they choose, it's what I want, you
Okay.
know. So it's just like an experience for the audience, because in a way we're trying to let the audience because film movie audience in Indonesia not like in India, who have a long history of watching movie. Uh, our movie was dead for like 20 years before resurrect in 2001. So it's very young audience, and we want to sharing about the process of the filmmaking to the audience.
Thank you. Any questions?
Kindly share your any memorable moments while filmmaking, production, or audience feedback, both of you. Any memorable moment during
About this
filmmaking, production, or audience feedback. Yes, about this film.
Reaction of audiences?
Filmmaking, production. Any memorable moment you want to share with us?
Ah. I think I go again to the Holocaust. I did in 2008, 7, 8, 9 years ago, a film which is called Spring 1941. And it was a first Polish-Israeli co-production. As you know, the Holocaust took place in Poland. I mean, most of the concentration camps were built by the Nazis in Poland. And most of the people were exterminated in those camps. And we do have a lot of open wounds with the Polish society. And this was a story which took place, which tells a story, the film tells a story about the Holocaust. And I moved to Poland. I lived there for a year. I worked with Polish artists, cameramen, art director, designer, producer, Polish producer, on locations in Poland where it took place practically this massacre. And for a year it was my most enriching and significant year of my life, because I felt Polish somehow, even though I came wounded to Poland because of our history, you know. I can't really give you examples of your history, but I guess you can make and to make such a film with Polish people on Polish land, it was a very important, very almost spiritual experience for me. But I had so many, you know, I'm making film for 30 years already. So
This question was for you also.
Before writing the script, I'm a co-writer. I travel for 1 year to all over Indonesia because we have a lot of coffee plantation and coffee culture in every region. So I travel from the most western part to the most eastern part of Indonesia, and I met with a lot of farmers, a lot of coffee enthusiasts, and I found something in common with the filmmakers that they do they work not only because of the money, but because of love of the things that they created, and then I try to dig those passion and those feeling and put it into my film. And I met with two guys from southern India, the audience yesterday, and they said that they are tea drinker, but after they saw the movie, they really want to try more coffee.
Have you watched other movies in the competition section? Could you watch other competition movies?
I arrived yesterday. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah,
I arrived yesterday.
I just arrived 2 days ago, and just yesterday is my full day in this town, and I plan to watch several movies. I watch non-competition movie, 3 films yesterday and 1 film today.
Any questions? If there are no more questions, let us. Yeah, please.
This one for both Uri and Sasongko. What is your impression of Indian Film Festival and Indian cinema if you have seen films in India?
Like I said, I quite envy to have audience like Indian people. Your people really engage with something in the screen. Like if something funny, you not just laugh, but you also clap the hand, and it's cheering. And I think I never get those kind of experience in Indonesia before, and it's gonna be a memorable experience for me.
I haven't seen much Indian films, and I very much under the influence of being here in India, in Goa. I understood that Goa is an extra territory in India. That's what I was told, because of the spirit, because it was under Portuguese colonialism years ago. But what strikes me from people that I've been talking to and watching around, it's the harmony, and I feel it outside in the streets, such harmony. You don't feel violence, you don't feel attacked at all. And bear in mind, I'm bearing in my mind that you have like 25 or 30% of Muslims and Catholics and Hindus, and everybody lives in harmony. That's an example, should be somehow a symbol for possibility of living together. In our region, we cannot live together, unfortunately. But here, that's really what strikes me so much. Films are not that important, come on, you know.
Any questions, comments? if you don't have any more questions, let us conclude this press conference. Thank you, both of you, for being here and sharing your views. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
14 days.